Oh, it's such a pleasure to be here and to hear about Julius talking about the last 10 years and Jacqueline about what's just happened this past year. I'm a relatively new comer to Acumen. I joined the board not long ago. And it was only in 2015 that I first met Jacqueline at a conference. I hadn't heard of Acumen before. And I just clearly remember Jacqueline speaking about an investment in toilets in Nairobi. And that immediately resonated with me because I had just been to Nairobi a few years back and had visited the largest slum there called Kibero. And I just fully understood what it meant to have clean toilets that you could go to, because really there wasn't any there. And so that was my first encounter with Jacqueline and with Acumen. And then 2 years later, at that very same conference, Jacqueline told me that Acumen was thinking of expanding its leadership work to other regions in the world. And she asked if I thought it would be suitable for Malaysia. And I just immediately said, yes, that is what I really think we need in Malaysia. What has happened in Malaysia over the past few years is that it's become more polarized as a society, and the inequalities have been deepening. And the narrative had just become about race, about economics, about religious differences, and that really very much saddened me. And I felt that the world just desperately needed a new type of leaders who would look at things differently instead of dividing us along these lines. And so I'd heard of Acumen's work, and I just felt that this was really something we needed. We needed to build a new kind of leader, the kind of leader that Jacqueline has talked about, and you will hear from later today. And so I said, yes, we want to have the Academy in Malaysia. And so we took off, and in 2020, we welcomed our first cohort. And it was really hard for them because they had this idea they were going to meet and they were going to form community, and they couldn't do that. It all had to be online. But we are grateful for small things because we managed at the end of last year to have one in-person seminar, which the fellows were so grateful for. But what the fellowship did was really, virtual or in person, it held these fellows together. And I think it gave them that resilience to go through that very hard year. I mean, as in many parts of the world, their businesses, were not doing well. Some of them lost their jobs. And so having that community in that way and in the Acumen way really kind of saw them through that year. And so this year, we've just welcomed our second cohort. And I just want to tell you a little bit about one of the fellows. She's Cheryl Goh, and she's the head of marketing at Grab. And Grab is Southeast Asia's largest ride-hailing app. I mean, they're so big, they actually merged with Uber, or rather they acquired Uber in Southeast Asia. And I recently had the privilege to interview Cheryl. And I just really wanted to know why she had applied for the fellowship, because she was already such a successful executive in a multi-billion-dollar company. And she then told me how it was because in 2014, she had done a Plus Acumen course. It was, I think, human-centered design. And as part of the course, she had to go to the field and to find a problem to solve. So she decided to go to some low-cost flats just 10 minutes from her house. And she interviewed the mothers there, and she asked them a simple question: what do you want your children to be when they grow up? And she naively thought that they would say, as with her own community and friends, they would say, oh, doctor, lawyer, engineer. I mean, that's what my friends would say. But these mothers simply said to her that they just wanted their children to grow up and not end up in jail. And that was, I think, the turning point for her, because she realized how blind people could be, she herself was, to problems that people were facing, even though they were so proximate to her. They just lived down the road from her, and their whole view was different because of where they were coming from. And so she joined the fellowship because she believed that it would give her a way to deepen and to grow her impact. And, you know, Cheryl gives me hope. Jacqueline spoke about hope, that hard-edged hope that we must all hold on to. And Cheryl gives me the confidence that the fellowship is what we need here in Malaysia. And, you know, we're working on making it happen for the rest of Southeast Asia too.